our logo, our company logo, that's the gated transmission shift pattern on the Gallardo. And I put that in this logo because of Save the Manuals.
Twin turbo, 62.
Welcome back to the show, guys, and welcome to Car Talk. My name is Liz.
And I'm Eddie, and I want to introduce our special guest here, Jesse. Jesse, thanks for coming on the show.
You're welcome. Good morning.
Yeah.
Great to be here.
It is a good morning. I got my coffee, so I'm comfortable.
It's actually our first morning shoot. We're always doing this kind of later at night, so this is nice. I feel refreshed.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like we're on the news.
It's a new cast.
Our morning show.
Yes,
It
it
is
is
a morning
67 degrees out.
And the fog was just cleared up.
Yeah.
So.
All right, that's
Confirmed.
all I got for the news.
It's a beautiful day.
So Jesse, you're a pretty unique guest here. You're our first Lamborghini owner guest, someone that's experienced what we've
Really?
experienced. Yes.
Wow.
So thank you for coming all the way from another state. Got an outer towner.
Yeah, first out-of-towner, first Lamborghini owner, and first real estate guru.
Yeah.
Wow, that's a lot of first.
Yeah, so
Wow, I feel so honored.
Achievement icons all across
Yeah.
the world. Bling, bling, bling. But I'm requesting that you share with us maybe an experience or the moments leading up to your purchase of the Lamborghini. Like, how did that come about? Because there's a lot of people who are seeking this experience or to level up their platform, and the Lamborghini is just on a whole different level. There's 100 different options you could have gone with. Why did you end up in a Lamborghini?
That's a great question. And I think that's the question that everyone has to ask themselves. You have to have that big why.
Yeah.
If your why is not big enough and strong enough as to why you want to reach a goal, and then there's a much lower chance that you'll actually achieve that goal. So that said, I suppose I should start out with why did I want a Lamborghini as opposed to any other car.
Mhm.
So it all started back in childhood.
There we go.
How many stories start?
all of them.
All right. But this is a 100% true story. One day I was 11 years old, right? And my dad comes to the door bringing a Lamborghini Countach bed, like an old school wooden bed. And I didn't even ask him for it. I don't know where in the world he got it to this day. But I remember seeing that red Countach. I mean, as a 11-year-old child, it almost looked as big as a real Lamborghini to me.
Yeah.
It was gorgeous. It even had the spoiler in the back. And I remember sleeping in that bed every night, having dreams of Lamborghinis. My brother slept next to me because he liked the bed so much, and we put our big golden retriever between us. And I think that really did something to cement the Lamborghini image in my mind. And for most folks who want to buy a Lamborghini, I think it is like the ultimate icon of success. It is a moving piece of artwork. It's like the pinnacle, like a Mona Lisa or a beautiful painting. It is a physical piece of art.
Yes.
And I don't want to say trophy because I don't want to make it sound like less than it is, but would you agree that it is somewhat of a trophy, like a form of achievement?
Absolutely.
Yes.
I think, and I try to stay humble and not gloat about it too much.
Right.
But I do see the Gallardo or the Lamborghinis as a symbol of you've had to build your finances up in a certain way. You've had to do something that the average person is not doing, instead of just doing a 9-to-5 in the right career field or job experience place to earn your income. For us, it was building multiple streams of income. and working our way up into it. But not every avenue you take is going to be something as simple as a 9 to 5 to get you into a Lamborghini. It takes a little bit more.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So like a lot of hard work's put into building yourself up to be in the market and searching and purchasing. So
I'm glad you said that.
success is definitely, you have to have a lot of success in everything in that avenue you're taking, in that path that you're on, in order to become a Lamborghini owner. So I fully agree with you. And I think that that machine, that car is a rolling piece of art. Like the way they designed it, it for me, it impacts me, right? When I see it, and when I see other Lamborghinis on the road, it makes me think like, now it's like, dang, I'm so glad that I worked as hard as I did, that I had the right partner. Like we worked as hard as we did and got ourselves to the point where we have one. And I'm happy for that person right there, because I know that they worked their butts off to get to where they're at in order for them to be able to be driving this thing down the street.
Exactly. Behind every Lamborghini, there's a story. There's
Oh,
a story of years of hard work, sacrifice, and struggle, not to mention having that great partner like Liz. Very few of us could have done this on our own. I know my wife, without her, I wouldn't be half as successful as I am.
Yeah.
So having your partner and you on the same page, both dedicated to the same goal, is so important.
Yeah. So thank you. And thank you, man.
You're welcome. Yeah, we have a live audience,
Yeah.
a single live audience member. It's his wife, Hannah. So she's in the
Hey, Hannah.
background. I heard that. So we're good. It picked it up. What model Lamborghini do you have?
So I used to have a Murcielago,
Oh,
and I had a Gallardo before that.
Mhm.
So when I said I sold it, I wasn't being completely honest. I sold it back to the insurance company after they totaled it because
Oh.
it was wrecked.
oh no.
Sorry to hear.
Yeah, that's unfortunate.
It is unfortunate, but luckily I got paid out more than I purchased the car for because I got an amazing deal.
Nice.
So that puts me on track to buy an even better Lamborghini, hopefully in the near future.
Nice.
So are you looking at another Murcielago or moving up to Huracan?
I'm looking at an Aventador.
Wow.
Oh.
I love Mercies, but I feel like I want something new. And because I've owned a Gallardo, I've owned a Mercy, I just want to try something for a next experience.
That's an experience. I would like to drive or ride in an Aventador.
I got to ask you. So the Gallardo is a V10, and then
It
the
is.
Murcielago is a V12. What was the experience difference between the two platforms?
Experience difference. So I have to say, I really. Do we want to edit that part out?
No,
No.
it's staying.
All right, cool.
One of the sound dampening panels fell off. That's not going to be in the shot, but go
Nice.
ahead.
So I really enjoy the Gallardo.
Mm.
That is something that I have to say, the way it shifts, the quirkiness, the almost like jerkiness where it puts you back in your seat after each shift.
Mhm.
It just has a fantastic personality, and the compact shape and just the interior cabin. I just think it's a fantastic car and a fantastic value. I would say a Gallardo is still the best value exotic car you can buy for the money, and I would love to own another one. The Murcielago is just larger. It's just more extreme. The inside's bigger. The passenger is farther away from you. You have to be more careful when you are driving down the road and you want to pass cars. The view you get from the rear view mirrors and the side mirrors are even harder to see out of than the Gallardo.
Mm.
And it's got a big back end that likes to break free.
Yeah.
It's just more. It's more of a challenge to drive.
Okay. And the acoustics from the V12, is that more exhilarating than the V10? Like, how does that?
It's a screaming V12.
Yeah.
Like stock, it beats the Gallardo. But if you have the souped up Gallardos with the twin turbos and the racing cats and all the awesome things that you do, I would say that would probably be louder than a stock Mercy.
Okay. That's something I'm gonna have to test out.
Yeah, we do know somebody that has a Murcielago.
Yeah, our buddy down in Florida,
Yeah, Caleb.
Caleb and Corinne,
Okay.
they're down in Florida, and they have a Murcielago and an Aventador.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I don't know which one's is a daily. I think it's the Aventador, but that would be an amazing daily to have, just having the option to pick between the two V12
Yeah.
platforms.
And she has a really nice like F-type, right?
I think she switched it up, but
Yeah,
I definitely know that they did have the F-Type
she's
before.
into Jaguars, but yeah.
Nice. That is an iconic car, the F-Type.
Yeah.
They have an amazing sound,
Yeah, I was looking at those for a while too. I look at all cars, but
right?
I look specifically at certain cars before I buy, and I looked at that one for a while and just decided at the end of the day it wasn't for me.
Yeah.
Oh, why not?
I think it's just because at the time I wanted four doors, and I wanted something that I guess would be a good grocery hauler. So I got the AMG.
Okay, that's not a bad choice. That's
Yeah.
a beautiful car.
Thank you.
And going back to the Aventador and the Mercy, that would be a fantastic video.
Hmm.
V12 versus V12, which
Right.
one's the better sound?
Yeah.
Because that is like the debate that goes on and on without an actual like resolution, without a real winner. Which one sounds better, the Mercy or the Aventador?
That's
I know
true.
there are people that are like really strong in both camps,
Hmm. I think we're gonna have to call on Caleb for this.
right?
Have him and his wife help us out with this a little battle. See if they can do like maybe like a rev off between the two,
Oh yeah.
or stationary the camera, and both of them like one take off so you can hear that engine, and the other one take off, because both of them have exhaust system. I did the Murcielago, and then Caleb had the Aventador. Yeah, you can correct me later in the comments, Caleb, but I'm pretty sure the exhaust that he has on his car is from Japan. It's the way they design it, some kind of special exhaust where it comes together and then swirls around a barrel and then comes out the exhaust tips.
Well,
I'm not sure of the name, but I know it's like a highly sought after exhaust around the world. So maybe I can get a video from them, put that together. But
I would love to see that video.
I would love to see you in an Aventador.
I would love to see all of us in the Aventador together, all three of us,
Yeah.
with 2 seats.
Yeah, and give it time. It takes time and patience.
Yeah.
So like, have a plan and be dedicated, and be sure the avenue you want to approach, and just give it time and focus, right? And goals will unfold in front of you, and
Right.
you'll be happy.
Patience is key.
Yeah.
So if y'all don't have any other questions, I'd like to tell the story about how I bought my first Gallardo.
Please.
Please.
Yeah.
So backstory, when I first met Hannah, we were very poor. We lived in a townhome that I only was able to buy because of my uncle co-signing the loan because my credit was so bad. I was working at Lowe's, making $10.50 an hour, and my house payment took almost my entire paycheck. But we prayed a lot, and we got really lucky because the real estate market took off. That was about 2005 when the prices started going way up. We were able to sell that townhome, and we made an enormous profit of $30,000, which was all the money in the world to me. That I had never seen that much money before. Coming from somebody with no savings, I was like, thank you, God.
Nice.
I might be able to make it now and feed my family. And I also joined the service straight after that.
Nice.
So that first experience, luckily we had a positive experience with real estate. I know not everyone does, and it's so important to start out with that positive experience, because I took that and I thought, well, if we by accident made $30,000 on one townhome, what if we learn more and do it on purpose next time?
Nice.
So every duty station we were at, we somehow scraped enough money together to buy a home, partly thanks to the VA loan, no money down. Don't think we could have bought the homes without that. So that's a huge positive for service members to have that.
Mm-hmm.
And when we moved, we used the home as a rental property.
Mm-hmm.
So we started accumulating multiple rental properties all over the United States. We weren't making a lot of money at first. Some of them were just breaking even. Mm-hmm. But we still had them. The tenants were paying down our house payment, so we were building equity.
Mm.
Any questions so far?
No, the
No.
equity that style of renting or buying something and renting out every duty station you go to. That I'm in the Army. And what service were you in?
Started off in the Air Force.
Okay, so you're doing this like out the gate in the Air Force, right? That's spoken of at work to a lot of people, and a lot of the seniors recommend to the juniors as soon as they get in, say, hey, as soon as you can, get into a house and then rent it out whenever you PCS and follow the footsteps of what you did. So I'm happy to hear that that's exactly what you did.
Okay.
What year did you join?
2000, I joined the Air Force.
Yes.
So, yeah, I'm older than I look.
Wait, you joined in 2000?
2000.
What?
Yeah. And I did 4 years.
What?
I did 4 years and got out.
Uh-huh.
And that was at the point when I met Hannah, my wife.
Uh-huh.
That's when we had the townhome. So after I got out, I was working at Lowe's, struggling. So I decided to get back in after that year off.
I have to ask, and forgive me if this is
Sure.
intrusive, but how old are you?
43.
Wow.
Oh, yeah.
Jesse.
I thought you were like his age, 35, 36.
I was thinking like 29, 32. Like,
What?
I don't know.
Thank you.
Oh, wow. Whatever you're doing, keep it up.
Yeah, I need that skincare regimen.
Yeah, I take men's multivitamins.
Yeah.
And so there's a study from Harvard scientists where they actually are able to now reverse aging in mice. So the gray hair from the mice turns back to the normal color.
Really?
They lose weight and they get their youthful appearance back. So there's 2 chemicals. Number one is resveratrol, and you can buy that now. You can even buy it on Amazon. So it's one of the key nutrients found in grape seeds. And you can listen to a Joe Rogan podcast, and he talks about this. And I want to say the other nutrient is NAD. Does that sound right, Hannah? Is that what we have at home? Okay.
We'll check that.
Okay. So that can actually reverse aging now.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm looking into that. I'm going to Google that right after the show.
Probably what Jennifer Anderson's taking.
Yeah, she looks great.
But sorry to interrupt the
no worries.
The climax of the story. But so you're in the service and you're starting to do the rental property every time you PCS.
Yes.
Okay.
Now, it's important to note that not every branch of the service or every duty station, one would be able to buy a property. Some situations, you have to live on base.
Yeah.
So how many rental properties do you have now?
Currently, we have 5. And we've sold off a few as the years have gone by.
Nice.
I mean, they probably sell pretty quick too because they're right around a military base. So you always have that family looking for a home to buy.
Yeah, the location is key. It's obviously there's a big turnover near military bases.
Yeah.
So you're right on the money about that.
I'm a little curious. Did you, every time someone moves out, did you have a specific contractor to come in and make the renovations or anything like repairs that things got damaged as the renter was in there? Or did you do it yourself, or what did you do whenever someone would move out and then you would prepare for a new family to move in?
So sometimes when our tenants moved out, the house was in relatively good order, and Hannah and I could either drive or fly to the property and spend a day or two cleaning it up, fixing it up.
Okay.
And the plane ticket and all the money that we spent is tax deductible because it goes towards the repairs of your property.
Nice. Okay.
So you can take a mini vacation. Most of it's going to be hard work, but at least you can get that money back.
But I think there's a sense of dedication because that house is yours.
Right.
And taking care of that piece of property, there's a sense of pride in that to set it up for another family to enjoy and live in it comfortably. So
yes,
there's a lot of motivation behind that. So it could be demanding with man hours, like going the whole trip, flying out, layovers, getting there. And as soon as you get there, you got to get to work, start cleaning. It could be demanding like that. But I think in the back of your mind is probably like really worth it because like you're taking care of something that's yours.
Right. So that's another situation where you have the why. If you're just cleaning the house, you're going to want to do the bare minimum if you don't have a reason, if you're just made to do it. But if you know you're going to get a tenant and the cleaner the house is, the nicer it is, the more they will pay per month, the more that increases your passive income.
Yeah.
You have the energy to clean the house all night. Especially my wife goes into what I call beast mode.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And whips us and beats us until the house is clean. And I'm crying. I'm wondering why I'm even doing this, why I got into this marriage. But then at the end, we see that check and we find a tenant quicker than we ever dreamed.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, okay. Beast mode's a good thing. Thank you, Hannah. I love you.
So what I got out of that is continue the beatings, and the morale will increase.
Yes, exactly.
So you have the 5 rental properties now, and that's kind of your passive income to get your exotic cars?
Somewhat. That's true. So for my first Gallardo, I was in the service making, what a service member, the salary they make. By civilian standards, it's not a lot. My wife also is a nurse, so that nurse salary helped.
Yes.
So originally I was going to buy a Dodge Viper. So we went to look at a Viper, right? Because that was all I thought I could afford, $40,000 for a car. They're way more now probably.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, maybe I can stretch it and buy a Viper. When I got there, I saw this beautiful 2005 orange Gallardo. I was like, oh, my dream car happens to be here. And I kind of forgot about the Viper. And I was like, hey, Hannah, can we buy this? It was almost $100,000. She's like, are you crazy? It's like, okay, well, let's at least ask and we'll try. I was like, oh, yeah, why not try, right?
Yeah.
A lot of people, like, they see a number, they see a price, they see something that they don't think they can afford, and they have what many books call limiting belief. So they stop even trying. Just like the book Rich Dad, Poor Dad, Robert Kiyosaki says, instead of saying, I can't afford this, ask yourself, how can we afford this?
Absolutely.
So that's what we did. We knew we couldn't at the moment with our limited intellect, but we knew if we ask ourselves, maybe the universe would send us a signal of something we didn't think of before. Unfortunately, it didn't at that time.
Oh, I was hoping it would end with you in this Lamborghini.
So we sat down like we were bosses. We're like, yeah, we want to buy this Gallardo.
Yeah.
And then after talking to the banks, we got rejected. No from all the banks. Like, you don't make enough money. Your income's not enough. And I remember sitting in my office talking to this last bank. It was a credit union. I thought, oh, they had a good reputation. It was my last glimmer of hope. And I was just waiting for them to call me back. And they said, sir, your debt to income ratio is a little too high, so we can't give you this loan. And I was like, oh man. I was like, what if I just gave you a bigger down payment? And they just completely crushed me. They said, with your credit score and your debt to income ratio, even if you wanted the loan for $1, we wouldn't give it to you for this car.
What?
Oh, no.
Right?
What?
And I was thinking, is the universe against me? Like, do you have to be some kind of special person to buy a Lamborghini? Maybe they're looking at my background. They see I'm a service member. They see that, I'm just an average person, so I'm not allowed to buy it. There's got to be a secret list somewhere that you have to get on.
That's funny.
So,
they when we went to go look at the Gallardo that I have now, I was in duty uniform. So I wonder if they were like, oh, great, a service member's coming. He's going to have a high interest rate. And then they're like, yeah, I'm here to see the Gallardo. And they're like, oh, you can take this one. I'm not going to waste my time. I wonder if like car sales reps think like this. But
I think you're right. There's a lot of stories about how people are judged going into the dealership by their appearance.
Yes, but as I was a previous car salesman, that's how we met. And I can tell you through the training that we get, they say and they drill into our heads, do not judge a book by its cover. It's very hard not to. That's just the way humans, do.
Human nature.
Yeah, human nature. That's the best word to put it. But yeah, I try my best. I've had people come in there with dirty overalls right out of the farm and then put $100,000 on the table in cash. And then I've had people dressed in a nice blazer looking great and their credit score's a 300. So you can't judge the book by its cover all the time.
Exactly.
So did you end up at least with the Dodge Viper?
No. Because I remembered what I learned in another book, which is good is the enemy of great. And I think Rob Dahm said that in one of his YouTube videos. He was one of the first YouTubers that I watched on how to buy a Lamborghini.
Mhm.
I don't know if you've heard of Rob Dahm.
No.
It's several years ago. Anyway, yeah, so I didn't, because good is the enemy of great. You settle for good, and then you lose the ability to get something that's great.
That is true. Yeah. That
Understandably.
is some good advice. So what was the next steps?
The next steps were me getting really, really pissed off. Can I say that? The next steps were me getting really, really angry and feeling sorry for myself for weeks and going back to the drawing board
Uh-huh.
because I didn't want to give up. So I just made a, how do I say this? I made a command decision. So I told my wife, I need this car. I must have this car. They don't want to give me a loan for it. I'm going to sell one of our rental properties.
Yeah, I'm sure your boys love to be dropped off at school in a Lamborghini.
Mm-hmm.
They do. They're actually a little embarrassed about it.
What? Really?
Hmm.
That is.
What do you mean embarrassed?
My kids are shy,
Okay.
right? They're gamers,
Okay.
so they're not used to all that attention.
Oh, yeah.
And then once people know you have that, then they automatically think you're like super millionaires, and they treat you differently.
Mm.
Some folks, and I think that's what they're afraid of. So, and I think a lot of it is the attitude that you have once you own that. So if you show up in a Lambo and you act all shy and you act embarrassed, that's how you'll be treated. But if folks know that you have an attitude where you're like a boss and you are proud of your accomplishments, they won't even try to put you down or try to like hate on you.
It's that confidence.
Yeah, and that's true with everything in life, right?
Yeah.
It's all about confidence.
Mm-hmm.
Cars and everything else.
So you sold a rental property.
I sold one of our rental properties in Florida. And right, Hannah?
Do you
Yeah, that's what.
do you look back at these rental properties you sold to look at the value of them now to see if you would have waited, what the outcome would have been?
Why did you ask me that question?
So I'm guessing no.
Of course I do.
Oh.
I look back, and if I had waited, I could have made probably 200 more grand on that property.
Wow.
But then I wouldn't have had the Lamborghini for all those years. So you have to weigh like is the experience that you missed out on worth it?
Mm. So yeah, I had to talk one of my buddies into actually pulling the trigger on buying an exotic car, and I compared it to a vacation. A vacation, like let's just magically use Hawaii for example.
Right.
You're gonna spend thousands of dollars unless you're going by yourself, but for two people, right? To fly to Hawaii and fly back, thousands, with staying in hotels or Airbnb or however you're staying, camping on the beach, whatever it is, it's going to cost money to stay there, to eat, have fun, because why would you go to Hawaii and not do anything?
Right.
So you're going to pay for this experience. You have to pay for that experience. When you come back, you have all the memories and you have the experience, and then you can enjoy, smile, and say, I did that, I got the experience, and you can tell the stories, right? So that's the same thing with the exotic car experience. You made a sacrifice, right? You sold off a home, and then you took that money and you bought something that you had a desire for, to experience. You want to know what it was like to drive, or you want to know what it's like to go in your garage, whatever, every morning and see it's just chilling there on the battery charger, because the Gallardo batteries die really quick. But
Good tip.
you're paying for this experience. So when you go to sell the car, eventually, even if you lost out on $200,000 because you sold the property sooner, all those years and all that time that you enjoyed that at Gallardo, that's what you're paying towards.
Right.
And a lot of the times you come to find out that you didn't lose money when you go to sell the car, because the car either appreciated or maintained its value. And if you have one of those exotic cars that lose the value like crazy, then I'm sorry. You still pay for the experience. You still got the experience. You still got what you wanted, and you have the memories. Now, from that experience, with experience, you learn something. Whether
True.
you learn that the Gallardo was too small and compact, or the battery dies too much, or the model was aging, right? And you wanted to get into something newer, hence why you're looking at an Aventador. Because you had the Gallardo experience, you had the Murcielago experience, and now you're seeking something newer but exotic, and the thrill of the Aventador and the V12. Now you're about to pay for that experience.
Mm-hmm.
So I encourage getting the experience. You pay nowadays, I don't know, $30 to $50 to go see a movie, 2 tickets,
Yep.
popcorn and a soda. You're at $50. You're paying, that's a lot of money for what you're getting out of it. But you got to have that experience when you can go movie, see, I don't know, whatever movie, the Avengers or whatever. And then, but you can, if you waited 3 months, it would be on Netflix or whatever. You can rent it from home for like $10. So sometimes you do have to pay that extra pinch just to get that experience at an earlier date. So I don't discredit your decision. I think it was good. You got the experience. You saw something you wanted, and you were able to move forward on it. And luckily, the things that you did at a younger age with the rental properties led you to have that option when the bank told you no. You're like, cool, I'll just sell off one of these properties. And then ultimately that developed a large down payment, or maybe paid a cash, I'm not sure. But it granted you the opportunity to pursue something you desired. You had set a goal for, and then you made a move on it. You took a path. And you said going back to the drawing board, that's huge, having a plan. So like if your outcome doesn't get you to your goal, you have to reassess the steps you're taking to get to that goal.
Right.
And that's the drawing board, that's planning. And then after planning, there's execution. And then that's what you did. That's what y'all did. And then boom, goal met, and you got the experience. So I applaud you on that decision.
That's a really good take, and that's the way successful people look at things. You're either achieving success, you're either winning, or you're learning.
Yes.
So you don't even consider a failure. So when I was rejected all those times, just like so many people in the world are rejected their first times at trying things, or their first 100 times. It's not failure, it's a learning experience.
Yeah.
So how long after you sold the properties, or actually after you were told no, did you sell your property and were able to actually get inside of a Lamborghini?
Soon after. It was only a matter of a month or two after that I started the selling process.
Oh, so that like really got you motivated.
It did. I like to move fast on things. I'm not a patient person, which I understand patience is essential sometimes. So
Yeah.
So let's see. I sold the property. I put it for sale. Actually, let me back up. Hannah and I had to fly out to that property.
Mhm.
And we worked hard. We went back into beast mode to get it ready.
Mhm.
We spent some money painting it, fixing it up, putting sod down. You know, it wasn't easy, but
Yeah.
once again, we were motivated as to why we were doing all this.
Yes.
So we used part of the profits for a big enough down payment for the Gallardo,
Mhm.
and we found finally a credit union that said yes to us.
Nice.
It's strange how just the positive attitude and the confidence of selling that property and knowing I could have bought a Gallardo in cash,
Mhm.
it put some kind of good vibes out to the universe, and people were much nicer to me on the phone. I don't know if it's the confidence they could hear in my voice or whatever, but the universe came through.
Nice.
And how long did you own that before, unfortunately, it was wrecked?
So the Gallardo was not.
Oh, it was the
wrecked.
Mercy logo.
It was the Mercy. Yes.
Oh, okay.
So I owned the Gallardo for several years, and I remember the first time that I bought it, and you can remember the first time you saw your Lambo as well, like the feeling you get.
Mm-hmm.
It's just being in the presence of that car is so special. And then I remember my hands were sweaty. We were all nervous. We were writing that big down payment check, and I was thinking like, I can't believe that we're actually doing this. I feel like it was a dream. It was like a very good dream. And I remember the first time we test drove it, and we drove past the gas station. All these kids came out and were like waving like Lamborghini. I was like, oh my gosh, my life is going to change. Like I'm never going to be treated normally when I drive this car. And it's true. Once you get an exotic car, a lot changes.
It does.
So I will comment that something that I noticed is that if you're traveling on a highway and it's multi-lane, the people act different around you, right? So one,
Yes.
they'll sit in your blind spot because it's a good 45-degree view on the car, right? So they're just like, looking. Maybe they're taking pictures, right? I've seen the people have the phones up taking pictures. Two, they're gonna match your speed a lot because they just want to travel with the Gallardo and enjoy the sights. Because like it's not. I don't know where everyone lives, but definitely around here and where I've lived, it's not an everyday thing. This is not Rodeo Drive in Cali or anywhere like Miami and Florida. So just getting to see that beast out in the wilderness and not in this hibernation cave.
Yeah.
So they match your speed a lot, and whether you're going 5 over or 5 under, they're just gonna stick with the Gallardo. I noticed like at times when we're all just traveling, especially on I-95 going to Florida, it's just a flock all together traveling like that. So that I've noticed a different characteristic of how people drive around when I'm in the Gallardo versus any other vehicle.
Absolutely.
You also get the people that aren't so nice. They're not hanging around to check out the car. They're hanging around because they don't want you to pass them. I've been blocked multiple times, and I'm driving maybe like 10, 15 over the speed limit. I'm not speeding. Okay, that's speeding, but I'm not like in the fast lane, I'm doing what I'm supposed to do in the fast lane. And if maybe I want to get over, people don't want to let me over. So I think there's a little bit of jealousy when it comes to seeing a Lamborghini on the road sometimes too.
Absolutely.
But that's when the 500 horsepower comes into play and you're able to get past them quickly.
That's true.
So that's a good thing. But the experience is crazy.
So these regular folks on the road in their regular cars, they don't know about cars and coffee. They don't know where the dealership is. This, for a lot of them, is a once-in-a-lifetime experience to see a Lamborghini and drive next to it. And they're going to lose their minds a little bit for the most part. And as you're saying, there's so much more to think about when you're driving this car. You can't just chill out a lot of times. So much going on around you.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's sometimes not a so relaxing drive. You have to pay attention to everything, especially speed bumps and especially like potholes.
Yes.
Oh, if you hit one.
Yes. And rocks
Yes.
coming off like semi-trucks or dump trucks. I'm very, very, very cautious around how much distance or offset I can be from one of those trucks because for some reason in this area, rocks get flinged up a lot and a lot of cracked windshields. So I definitely don't want that to happen to Lambo because I believe the Gallardo, you can fact check me, I'm pretty sure the Gallardo windscreen is $5,000 and I just don't want to go down that route. If I could just create more distance or offset whenever it's a multi-lane road and just avoid any type of damage like that. So that's something to take into consideration.
So for anyone who is dreaming of owning a supercar, that's one thing that maybe you haven't thought about. A lot of times when you're driving these cars, almost 100% of the time, you're like hyper vigilant, hyper focused.
Yeah.
The adrenaline is going. A lot of times you're sweating. You're looking out for everything, just like you said, Eddie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. White knuckling that steering wheel the whole time.
And then it doesn't end once you park, because then you have to keep an eye on the car once you park it. So if you want to talk a little bit about that experience.
Yeah. There's not everyone is cautious when they get out of their vehicles, especially in like a tight parking lot.
Especially children.
Yeah. They'll fling the door. And sometimes those doors have that stop to where it kind of like falls into place before it goes any further. And it will pull the door open even more. So we kind of try to stay away essentially, just so that you don't have a bunch of door dings across the Gallardo or the Lambo that someone's going to be eyeballing. Like they're going to see the car, they're going to want to look it up and down, and then if it's all dinged up, they're going to be like, man, this person doesn't take care of the car and don't want to show that type of care as a Lamborghini owner, and we want to take care of it.
Right.
You worked hard for it. You had to do a lot of steps and wait and timing to get to this point of having the car. So taking care of it is a huge thing. And then I remember a time we were in Pittsburgh and we were going out to eat dinner and we pull up to the valet and the guy was like, the valet parker was like, "Do you just want to drive into the
Yeah.
valet parking spot?" I was like, "Yes, I would definitely prefer that." And then
That was cool of him.
yeah, so he let me do that, but grabbing the car and bringing it back out, the curve was such a steep incline, so when I came out, it just like drug the carbon fiber bumper across the road, like.
I hate that sound. It's
Yeah.
not a good feeling.
No, it's not.
Lots of damage, but good thing it's underneath. And
Yeah.
and our car has these aftermarket skid plates underneath the bumper.
Good
It's
idea.
like some type of hardened plastic to where you can grind it on some concrete on steep inclines and not damage the bumper too much. So
Yeah, fortunately, the Gallardo, there's no button to automatically pull it up.
Yeah.
You just have to be a skilled driver and come in at an angle on those speed bumps or those drop offs.
yeah, so we have an '04, which
Right.
they didn't start doing front end nose lift until '05.
Yeah, so we just
Right.
missed that mark.
And I have heard you can purchase that, install aftermarket
Yes.
lifts. How much is that expensive? Is that even worth it?
It's 3,500 that I've seen. 3,500 for that kit.
It's not bad.
It's just there's a pump the kit that I saw. I don't know if there's multiple kits. I'm only tracking one kit. There's a pump that sits in the front trunk.
Yeah.
Well, that's where my ice box goes for the twin turbos. So
I see.
I
So it's either or.
yeah, I like just a single ice box in there, and I've had a lot of lowered cars in my day, so I'm okay with not having a front end lift and putting those skid plates to use.
Yeah.
So I'm fine with it, but other people, they might not be so much.
I think you can develop a technique and a skill to where it's not necessary.
Sometimes it gets embarrassing. Like,
Yeah. We've had a couple of experiences. Oh, like when we went to Corsa Toro Rally the first year, pulling into, I forgot what dealership it is, but pulling into the dealership, it was a steep drive. And the guy was like, "Lift it up, bro, lift it up." We're like, "It doesn't do that." We're like the
Yeah.
only car there that
Yeah.
it doesn't do that. We're surrounded by Aventadors and
Yeah.
Huracans. There's only a handful of Gallardos, and the ones that were there were newer than ours. So we're and like everybody's sitting there videotaping us drive through, and it's like I had to get out, and it's like I'm like, oh my gosh, so embarrassing.
Yeah.
is what it is. But yeah.
Yeah. So
So the Gallardo experience, how about the Murcielago path? Tell me about that one.
So the Murcielago. So I had sold my Gallardo, made a small profit, decided to invest in Bitcoin. That was a interesting experience. So I made a little bit of money, lost a little bit of money, mostly broke even on that. So I thought I was going to get rich, sell the Gallardo, invest all in Bitcoin. I would be a decade millionaire.
What year was this?
This was around 2021, right when Bitcoin was going up and up and up and up.
Again, yeah.
Everybody was buying.
And yeah, I wish I would have bought a little lower. But luckily I sold before the huge crash happened. So, but then not having a Lambo, I was very, very like sad. I missed it every day. Like every day I would think about it. I go and look in my empty garage and think about all the memories. And like you were saying, like there's no rational reason to buy a Lamborghini other than the amazing experience it gives you, right? Like you can't rationalize it no matter what. It doesn't make sense other than that amazing experience, like going to Hawaii or vacation or things like that. So I missed that. I missed all the attention, all the friends, the events. So I started looking at Murcielagos, and back then, you could still get them for under 150,000. It was right before the price started going up.
Nice.
So I did find one around. It was after all that was said and done, it was right under 200,000.
Okay.
After looking for months and months and months every day online, I was like obsessed, trying to find one in my price range. So this one was in California though. So I was like, all right, I'm on the East Coast. This is on the West Coast, and I came to my wife. I was like, Hannah, I found this car. I think it's a good investment. I think it's going to be worth a lot of money one day because Murciélagos, they only made about, correct me if I'm wrong, I want to say 8,000.
Somebody in the comment section.
Yeah.
They will fact check you and they
Okay.
will let
They'll
us
help
know.
us out.
Yeah.
All right. So I know they did make roughly 14,000 Gallardos.
Mhm.
And Mercies were, I think they made about half of that. So, in watching Ed Bolian, did I say that right?
I believe so.
Okay. Watching him talk about Murciélagos made me understand how amazing they were. Either that or he's obviously a really good salesman, but I was thinking these are rare. If I can find it at a good price, this is going to be a good investment. I can talk my wife into letting me get it.
Mhm.
So Hannah's like, all right, if it's a good investment, we'll fly to California and get it. I was like, great. So that was a really fun adventure. We got on the plane. We flew out to California. We went up to the beautiful beach area. We drove up these hills, and it turned out to be it was owned by a movie producer,
Oh, really?
and he was having a nasty divorce, and he just wanted to get rid of the car
Mhm.
and never see his wife again, and so she couldn't take it from him. So he sold it to me for a really good price.
Nice.
I got his unfortunate situation, and he was angry. He wanted it gone.
Uh-huh.
Really was a blessing for me.
Mm.
So I purchased it from him. It was so much easier this time. If the banks know you already own an exotic car,
Oh, yeah.
they knew I owned the Gallardo. They're like, oh, okay, credit's good. How much you want to put down? I was like, oh, this is so easy now.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Where were you back when I was struggling to buy the Gallardo?
Uh-huh.
It's so weird. It's like the universe is when you want something so bad, the universe keeps you from getting it, but then when you don't care anymore, it's like things come easy.
Yeah.
Like when you stop caring and trying so hard. So I had it shipped back to my house. I waited for weeks, and it finally came. And I don't know if you've seen a delivery of an exotic car before. This giant enclosed delivery truck backed up to my house. It could barely fit down the road, and then the driver backed up this beautiful yellow Mercy, and it was one of the best days of my life.
Nice.
It was so exciting. It was like the angels came down and sang, and I was like, oh, I have a Lambo again. So excited. And this is a new kind. I get to explore it, see what the Mercy's all about.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And so it was just such a cool, amazing car. And I really didn't appreciate it as much when I had it looking back. It's because loss hurts so much more than gain almost. It hurts more to lose money when you're gambling than to win.
Oh, yeah.
So so I had that for about a year.
Okay.
And there's this fellow that wanted to come see it. He hit me up on Instagram.
Mhm.
And he's like, hey, I want to take a picture with your car. I'll pay you such and such amount of money. I was like, okay, cool. Yeah, I can make some income off this thing. And it was raining really hard that day. We were in thunderstorms. And I was like, hey, man, I don't think it's a good idea. Let's not do it today. It's raining out. I don't want to bring the car out in the rain. And he's like, oh, I'm already on my way here. He drove an hour and a half. So I was like, all right, fine. So we parked it under a hotel. It's good. And I said to him, I was like, well, since you paid me this money, let me take a little spin with you in it, so you get your money's worth.
Oh.
And so I was pulling out of a parking lot, and there was a big puddle. It was thunderstorming.
Mhm.
And I had cleaned the Mercy up. I made it all slick and shiny and beautiful for the pictures. I put this tire shine on it, which I think was part of the reason the accident happened.
Mm.
The wheels were too slick, because as soon as I hit the gas, the wheels spun out in the puddle, and the whole thing turned sideways, and it went into a guardrail.
Ooh.
Oh.
The front, and it was actually a low-speed accident.
Mhm.
It was in slow motion. It felt and it's it happened in stages. First, I saw the spinning. I probably overcompensated. I don't know. I don't think there's anything that could have been done, because it just completely spin out. It didn't even get to go forward. And it hit the guardrail. The front got crushed. And then it kept going into the guardrail. Then I saw the whole front window crack in front of me. And then we stopped and we were fine. The airbags did not deploy. So I was very grateful of how safe that car was in the accident.
That's pretty good. I'm glad nobody got hurt during that, unfortunately, but the car did.
Absolutely. No human got hurt.
Good.
So, and that was totaled out.
Yes. The insurance said that it would cost $45,000 to repair just the front of it.
Yeah.
It turned out the front, almost the whole body's carbon fiber. So it didn't just crumple; it just cracked, and you know how carbon fiber is. It was just awful looking in the front of it.
Dang.
And I was really hoping they would repair it for me, though.
Yeah.
But they ended up paying me out more than I had purchased the car for. So
Was that because you had it for a year at that point?
it was roughly a year, yes.
And the market increased the value as time went by?
Yes. At that point, you could not buy one for under 200,000.
Okay. Yeah, there's a lot of aspects about the Lambos being a good investment. Like I know since we got the Gallardo, it's a gated 6-speed Gallardo back in 2019.
Which are rare.
Yes,
they are.
Since then, the price continuously climbs. And I just recently saw a Spider, an '08 with 13,000 miles, got bidded at an auction, and it's a Spider, and the Spider's values are not as sought after and high as the coupe. And it was a gated Spider '08, and it sold for 152,000. 152,000. So
Wow.
Yeah.
the gated Gallardos, the value continuously climb, and we're kind of like, heck yeah, because like you, we want to try out the other Lamborghinis.
Sure.
And Huracan seems to be the next one on the list. Although I do have my eyes on the Aventador like you do. I think I give it more time because I want to experiment with building exhaust systems and turbo kits for the Huracan, and having one in hand to do designs with is going to work out better, right? Than whether it be like renting or using someone else's Huracan. So
There's definitely a lot of pros to the Huracan that the Aventador doesn't have. So maybe you want to mention some of those.
from what I've seen and read from people who've had experienced both, it's obviously not as wide. Like you said, the Murcielago was extremely wider
Yes.
than the Gallardo. So it's not as wide. The Huracan is easier to get around town, more easier daily use out of it. The clutch is smoother engagement
Absolutely.
than the Aventador, or the Aventador single clutch and the Murcielago single clutch transmission. So it's easier to daily drive, maneuver through traffic. It's more comfortable. But the Huracan does not have cruise control, and I'm tracking that the newer Aventadors do. So that's something in the Gallardo that we don't have, cruise control.
I don't even use cruise control like on my daily, so that's not.
I
really-
use cruise control all the time.
Never.
Especially like when we took that 13-hour drive down to Miami for our rally, it would have been really nice to have cruise control. You didn't care because you were sleeping in the passenger seat.
But I was sleeping sitting straight up, so it wasn't
She's-
great sleep.
She was like a little in a little cocoon over there with her pillow and blanket. So the Gallardos have the coupes, not the Spiders, but the coupes have a nice amount of space behind the driver and passenger seat. There's a little shelf back there where the ECUs are, and you can stuff your clothes and pillows, anything that doesn't fit in the front. But the Spiders, it's a flat wall. The seats are like pressed all the way against it because of the soft top.
But they're very. It's almost straight. It's just a slight tilt,
Yes.
unless you decide to scoot your chair all the way up.
Yeah.
And in most cases, it's usually a man driving, and in most cases, they're average or taller. So.
Yeah. So for some reason, guys that are 6 foot and higher
Yeah.
get the Spider, and they're like, it's big, strong guys just buffed out in the Gallardo.
Yeah. And when they're driving and the top's down, their head is like over the bar.
Yeah. What's up with you tall guys getting the Spiders?
Yeah.
I don't know. But I just think the coupe is more comfortable. But the Huracan, I've seen the back shelf on the Huracan. It's a little bit of space, not as much as the Gallardo coupe, and just a little bit more than the Spider. So the front, good amount of space in the front. So I'm talking about space because of the more drivability, the more daily the car can be,
and the rallies.
Yeah, and I've also seems like the Huracan can take more of a aggressive driver than the Aventador, like, and it's obviously a thinner, smaller, compact car, so parking and turning
Yes.
radius is easier in the Huracan than the Aventador or Murcielago. So like I've driven Caleb's Murcielago, and I do remember it being a big car. So like
Yes.
if anyone drives,
beefy.
yeah, if anyone drives like a regular truck, and then you get into like a military Humvee, the Humvee is freaking wide.
It is wide.
It's wide, and there's a lot of accidents in the Army because they don't take in consideration how wide that boxy truck is versus being in what they're used to being a more compact car. So I think the Huracan is going to be more friendly in today's like traffic. But there's something about the Aventador that has my interest. It just looks like it would cruise the highway really nicely. So like once you get that big body up to speed and you're just cruising on the highway and the lanes are wider and you have more space and you're kind of just going for a distance straight line, the Aventador looks so much better, right? More wild, like a fighter jet.
Yeah, it's totally more wild. It does look like a fighter jet.
Yeah,
It's got that wow factor that the Huracan is more subdued.
it is.
One thing about the Aventador that I wish was different though, when I got inside, the center console almost separates driver and passenger.
Oh yeah.
And it feels more claustrophobic inside the Aventador, and the Huracan feels more open. And I actually I like the interior of a Huracan better.
I do think the center console in the Aventador, I think that's a little dated.
Absolutely.
I kind of like it. I mean, like the Supra is kind of like that too. If you've been inside of the Supra, the center console kind of hugs the driver, and you really kind of separate the driver and the passenger. But I think it makes for a better driving experience.
There's the Aventador has a huge cockpit theme going on with how the center console is designed and how the dash designed and the odometer, speedometer screen is designed, which is a really nice aspect. I like that aspect about it over the Huracan, but the Huracan also has a nice feature where you can make the GPS, make the whole screen in GPS and see the map as your speed's displayed. So, but the Huracan is also a newer car.
It's more updated. The interior is a little more modern.
Yes.
The Aventador, like you're saying, is more aeronautical. It reminds you more of a fighter jet.
Yeah.
So, yeah, there's something out there for everyone, I suppose.
And you're going to be experiencing all of it.
Yeah, I'm excited for you to finally get into that Aventador.
Yeah.
I'm excited too. And I think great advice for folks out there that are looking to get into their first exotic car is just find a way to get near them, to go look at them in Cars and Coffee, or rent them, or find a friend that has one. Easier said than done, right? But just drive one, right? Because once you're actually in it, then that kind of changes your mindset. Your brain is rewired to know what it feels like. And that mind-body connection is something about it has changed. And your odds of getting one after you actually experience it increase.
So you're fueling that fire and
Yes.
that for the desire of the vehicle. So that's one thing that when I was selling cars, that's one thing that we would do. So he's mentioned in a different podcast, or maybe we were just talking about it last night. He's the type of guy that he'll just buy a car without test driving it. And I was his salesperson. So I was like, hey, you want to test drive this car? He's like, no. I'm like, are you sure? He's like, yeah, it's a truck. I'm here to buy it. But when you're a salesperson, the one thing you want to do is get the person to drive the car. If they are,
You hear that?
if they are like teeter-tottering on it, like, oh, I don't know, I need to sleep on it, talk to my wife, not a problem. Why don't you take it home for the night?
Ooh.
Why don't you take it around the block for a minute? But once they get in it and they feel the comfort, they feel the horsepower, they hear the engine revving, it changes it. And usually they come back and they're like, all right, let's sit and talk. So it is an aspect that is used for car sales just to get the sale.
Get that
Human
hook up.
psychology.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it works.
But somehow Eddie doesn't need to do that. You already know so strongly in your mind,
Yeah.
this is my vehicle. This is what I'm going to buy.
Yeah. I haven't driven an Aventador.
You've ridden in one though.
Yeah, I was luckily a buddy of mine gave me a ride in his Huracan, and I've sat in them, and I'm like, it's part of the vision of like getting that small taste, that small snip to see it, and it's like it's motivation and drive. So I'm being patient with the Gallardo. There's still like goals I want to achieve with the Gallardo and plans, right? And then when the time is right, we'll I don't know, like I'm at this crossroad where might keep the Gallardo and just keep it tucked away because we want to buy a piece of property by the highway and build a facility, brand new facility, shop, showroom. And we were talking about having the Gallardo in the showroom as just like the iconic car that
It started the business.
this business was started with.
Yeah.
It's like
So,
an
like,
advertisement.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
People
think
will come
yeah,
to see that. People will
really-
come if you build it.
and
They
the
will come.
value on the gated Gallardo just keeps going up. So I don't want to sell it. I mean, although like there would be a huge profit when I sell it, I don't want to look back a year, 2 years now and see that they're like a $300,000 car now.
And they could very well be.
Absolutely, because the Murcielago, the gated Murcielagos, freaking skyrocket
Right.
in price.
Over $500,000.
Yeah. So the LP Gallardos, those gated ones are skyrocket. They're like well in the 200s now.
Mhm.
So the next in the line is the pre-LP, and there's a lot of people who compliment the pre-LP because of the even firing order for the engine.
Mhm.
So a lot of people say that that is the most desired 10-cylinder sound, the acoustics from that,
It's amazing.
plus the gated transmission. Although it wasn't an upgrade back when it first came out, the E-gear was an upgrade. But since all the exotic cars have straight, I wouldn't say all, but a lot, like 99% exotic cars straight away from manual transmission and went to the automated transmission and the hydraulic transmission. The manual transmission cars are actually making a comeback, which pretty much everyone knows save the manuals, right?
Right.
So like our logo, our company logo, that's the gated transmission shift pattern on the Gallardo. And I put that in this logo because of save the manuals.
Yeah.
Because it's that driver and machine connection. And there's a lot of fun and thrill behind controlling the gears. Although like paddle shifting is awesome, and the E-gear Gallardos, they do rev match, especially in sport mode. They're nice bar, like bam, 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 like downshift like that.
Yes.
Like he's like, yes.
like, I'm familiar.
So are our neighbors.
I like your sound effects, though.
I rehearse it. But the manual transmission, the gated Gallardo has a nice clink in that
Yeah.
metal frame of the shift pattern. So it's like clink, clink. And
Very satisfying.
Yeah.
it is. And now that we've combined a blow-off valve and a spool in between it.
Oh yeah.
It's a lot of noises happening and a lot of feeling, a lot going on that increases the enjoyment of the car. So although the E-gears have a nice rev match, the gated Gallardo is a completely different experience on that car. And I can see why the value continues to climb. And I think it's something we're just gonna have to hold on to because it's gonna be in the 200s and 300s eventually.
But
It's just over time.
you also change the experience of owning the vehicle. So like my grandpa bought a 93 Supra like when it came
Yes.
out on the showroom floor. And I'm sure if we ask him the experience of owning it those first few years versus now, I mean, I'm bad at math, so 30 something years later, I'm sure the experience is completely different. It makes him appreciate that vehicle more. And I'm pretty sure that it has less than 30,000 original miles on it.
Yeah. And think that
Wow.
there's what Lamborghini is coming out that's manual transmission.
What
None.
car is coming out that's manual transmission? That's an exotic car. Like
I I would say the Porsche,
Yeah, the Porsche.
GT3 did bring a manual transmission back,
Right.
but honestly, that's the only one that comes to mind.
Yeah, I would prefer a manual. Like up until like 4 years ago, I had only ever owned a manual transmission vehicle, and then I bought that Tahoe, and that pushed me to an automatic. And I mean, it's nice going to work, but I
Yeah.
still crave that manual transmission. So at that point, I would just drive the Gallardo or the Supra to work.
I have been talking to some Lambros. Thanks, Steve. Some Lambros. Do you know Steve Carrington?
Yes.
He's the Lambro creator.
Yes.
Cool dude. I've met him down in Miami. But I've talked to a lot of other Lambo owners, and I've voiced that I was thinking about selling the Gallardo and going into Huracan, and they're like, "Oh, what about the transmission? The manual shift." I was like, "It's great. I love it. I have the Supra. The Supra is manual transmission car." So I was like, if I crave that and I want to get the experience of controlling the gears and the spool and whatever, I have the Supra. So like I'm trying to like talk myself out of keeping the Gallardo to justify getting a Huracan. But like I said, like it depends on the plan. Like you have to have a plan, right? And we've created 2 COAs, course of action, and one can result in keeping the car, just a little longer delay until we get the Huracan experience, or one can result in just cashing out the Gallardo and then getting the Huracan, and then possibly, what is there, seller's regret or seller's remorse, where you look back at it and you're like, dang
Yeah.
it, dude.
Like I wish I still had my Porsche Cayman. Like, man,
Yes.
I love that car.
Yeah. So that's the crossroad. I probably, seeing the experience or seeing how the Murcielagos are climbing in price with the gated transmission and seeing how the LP cars are skyrocketing in price with the gated transmission, I think it would be more wise to wait and be more patient, and the Huracan will come in time. I'll be out of the Army in 3.5 years, retired, and then I can get into something else like contracting, on-base contracting, as well as continue the business and continue doing other avenues to increase streams of income. And then eventually the Huracan will come at the same time the Gallardo is just chilling there in our showroom. So,
Right.
And then that will be a story that I'll tell forever. Hey, hold on to these investments.
Mhm.
But like
Yeah.
selling them is also a good idea. And it's also an idea that we're exploring.
It depends on what your goals are. Like you're saying, they produced over 20,000 Huracans. They'll be there.
Yes.
Right. A lot of them are just regular run-of-the-mill Huracans.
Yes.
Your Gallardo, it's one of a kind.
Yeah, there's in the 300s. In America, in the 300s for gated pre-LPs.
I think we're one of one for glow-in-the-dark paint.
Yeah.
If you haven't
Paint.
seen that yet.
It's aftermarket paint, but
Yeah.
I'm okay with that it's not this pristine, scratchless paint job that I would freak out if I used the wrong microfiber towel to dry it off or anything like that. So
Less stress.
yeah, less stress.
It's already stressful enough to own an exotic car. You don't need
Yeah.
to keep it like 100% perfect. That will drive you insane.
Yes.
Trust me, I've tried. I know some of my friends have. One guy I know brings a duster with him every time he stops, like a feather duster. He goes over his entire Huracan,
Wow.
and he has painter's tape on it. He treats it very, very well. I totally respect for him, but that's a lot for the average person to keep up with.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say. So your Murcielago is no more, unfortunately, but I see that you're driving a Tesla now. Is that your daily driver?
That is one of our vehicles. I got more for my wife,
Oh.
but also I missed the vertical doors, so that's a little piece of that back. Although that reminds me every time they go up of my Mercy, so it makes me want to buy one more now.
So what's the experience like going from a Murcielago, that V12
Screaming.
to a Tesla where it's a nice, quiet drive?
It's like going from college frat party to kindergarten playing with blocks. It's just it doesn't have the soul. It's quiet. I mean, it's
Yeah.
cool. It's techy. You know, you feel like really like high tech and like, oh, look at me. I'm so much. It's like it's kind of geeky
Yeah.
a little bit. And owning the Tesla, there's a lot to think about because you constantly have to track where's my next charger before I run out of charge
Yeah.
so I can get to my next destination.
Yeah.
And although it does a lot of things for you, the door is open for you when you walk up to it.
Ooh.
It's actually really smart. Like even the gull-wing doors, they know how far to open when they're next to other vehicles or there's an overhead. They never open the same way depending on the circumstances. They're very smart.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's just a really cool high-tech vehicle. But once again, the sound. Am I right? Like
Yes.
that sound, that emotion.
Yes.
You're missing the experience of the drive. I guess the experience with the Tesla is more tech related and more convenient. And then the Murcielago would be you're experiencing the motor, the vehicle. You're not getting in the car to listen to music or press the little fart button on the Tesla. You know,
Your Tesla has a fart button.
It does.
I have some coworkers with them. I'm just like, one time I was like, "Can I press your whoopee cushion?"
Wow.
Yeah, you can put the whoopee cushion icon on whatever seat in the vehicle you want and make that passenger look like they farted.
What?
Yes, it's got some really weird, silly, juvenile things.
That's funny.
You can also put it in submarine mode to make everything look like a sub, like as for your graphics. You can put it in romance mode. I don't know if you've seen that.
No.
So
I
romance,
was in with a coworker, so no.
That's good.
the whole screen turns into like a crackling fire graphic, and it plays romantic music.
Oh, I bet Hannah likes that. Date night.
Oh yes, every date night.
Getting the mood right.
Nice. I think acoustics is huge.
Yes.
So the Tesla doesn't make any noise as you're driving. Obviously the radio or the sound system, but is it just like
Yeah, like the
Jetsons?
Jetsons.
Yeah. That's funny.
This episode has like the best sound effects.
Yeah.
I'm not even pressing the board. This is great.
Someone's gonna make a dubstep song out of us. But yeah, the V12, there's a lot happening, right? A lot of sounds, right? And that's part of the experience.
Yes.
The acoustics. We like music because of how it makes us feel.
Yes.
The sound waves and the right tone. And it just, there's certain sound waves that people, it controls their mood. So the V10, the V12s, just the way they sound is intoxicating.
Yes.
And that's why I love what we do with the business when we increase the owner's experience with the acoustics, right? There's power in there. There's more power, freeing up power, but there's also like the enjoyment. When I got my Gallardo and it had mufflered exhaust on it, and then whenever I made one without mufflers and I
Straight pipe.
combined the X pipe in there, it changed the acoustics so much. At that point, I felt like I had the full exotic car experience because the exhaust that it was on it before, they were divided. So 5-cylinder bank that way, 5-cylinder bank that way with muffler sections. And it didn't have that, the acoustics didn't give me that feeling, that screeching V10 high RPM performance car. But when I changed the exhaust, I got that feeling and it felt like that's what the exotic car owner should feel like. This is a feeling of excitement. Just hearing this car like a Formula One engine just screaming. So acoustics is huge, and I think that's a huge attraction to why people seek exotic cars. Especially if imagine you're driving a quiet car like regular, like you're in the cars, and then from a distance you hear that high pitched sound or the downshift as the car's coming in. Bah, bah, bah.
Right.
You're just gonna be like, what is that?
Right.
Like you get this really huge curiosity. Like I haven't heard this before. Like, can you rev it up? Can I hear it? And you get excited when you start hearing that. Like, and you get goosebumps.
Yes.
You like get this thrill out of it. You feel like a kid. You're excited about something again. Because in adulthood, you start losing the excitement. You just like facing like day in, day out with work. But these experiences with these cars just gives you that feeling back, that fire.
You can always tell who's a car person because outside you could be like in a Walmart parking lot and you hear a car go down the expressway. Make that noise again. Yeah, you hear that and you can see who stops to listen and look around. And
Guilty.
yes, guilty here. And also I'm guilty of looking back at the car after I park it consistently over and over.
Yeah.
But yeah, you can always tell who's like the car person. You'll see them looking back at it in the parking lot and you'll hear them or see them listening to the cars and we guess what it is. I'll be like, hey, what do you think that is?
Yeah.
And I'm like, it's a Mustang. And look, yeah, it's a Mustang.
That's a talent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Our me and my neighbor Adam, we go to Cars and Coffee, and our wives come and they get along and like they hang out. And then when we hear a car with a nice exhaust, and me and Adam look at each other, and we're just looking. It's like silent, and we're looking. And it's like, yeah, dude.
Yep.
Like,
That
yeah,
was a good impersonation.
that's nice.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like the human brain is wired to go off when they hear a high pitched sound. That's why when you hear like an animal in distress or a cat meow or somebody scream, that's going to get your attention. That's not normal.
Yeah.
So, and I think nature's like that. The high notes on a piano and music, and the crescendo and the people go wild at concerts. Those high-pitched noises create emotion that sometimes lower or medium-pitched noises don't.
That's true.
So that's a special emotion in the high-revving engines that you can't find anywhere else.
Yeah.
That's true. Like hearing birds chirp or them in the morning gets our cats excited, right? Versus any other noises they hear out the window. So like that high pitch does draw the attraction.
Yes.
I see what you're saying. Like versus like a frog. They
They still get excited for frogs, but not as excited as birds.
Yeah, that's true.
So with your Lamborghinis, did you ever modify them or did you leave them stock?
It was mostly cosmetic modifications just to make them look better. As far as you and Eddie go, you're the engineering geniuses. I'm more about the looks and the carbon fiber, things like that.
Nice.
But that's one thing I'd like to do if I get my next one would be to start with the more complex modifications.
Okay.
So
Yeah, that's always fun to go around and talk to Lamborghini owners or car owners, period, and say basically, like, what do you have under the hood? What kind of exhaust do you have?
set you apart.
Yeah, it does. It changes. You could have 100 Huracans lined up, but every single one is going to be a little different if they modify
That's
them.
true.
So
Right.
it's exciting. Like when we go to the Corsa Tour Rally to see, like, oh man, look at this one, but look at this one. It's pretty
It's a
cool.
lot.
Yeah.
It lets you display your unique personality traits. It's like your personal thumbprint or fingerprint.
That's true.
It is true. And then you pass it along to the next person and they're like, man, what was that person
right?
thinking?
Yeah.
Isn't that funny?
Yeah. That person who really appreciated, the next person's like, yeah, that exhaust is going bye-bye or whatever,
Any more key points you want to touch before we wrap this up?
Yeah, I think we touched on a lot of good points.
We did.
Yeah, I'd love to come back again and we can talk about some more ways to be successful. And hopefully I'll have another car experience, a new one to share with you too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Get that Aventador so you can tell us the comparison of all three.
yes, sir.
Yeah, I'd like to have you back on the show once you get that. But thank you and your wife, Hannah, for coming
thank
down
you.
here. You traveled a few hours to make it to the show, and we really appreciate
5
it.
hours.
Yeah, 5. Wow, I didn't know it was 5, but we appreciate it, and look forward to seeing you next time.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you for watching.
Yep.
Make sure you hit that like and subscribe button, and please share the video so we can help get the message across and some tips and pointers on investments and rental property ideas. But make sure you stick around for the next video and keep an eye out for our new uploads. Thanks for watching. Y'all take care. And that's a wrap.
Yep. Go back over it. All right.
Where am I? Who are you people?
This is going to be in the bloopers.
Yeah, bloopers.
Ready.
All right, we're
Ready,
gonna get
ready.
it kicked started. All right, guys, welcome back to the show. Welcome to Triple R Supercars. This is Car Talk. Today, we have a special guest, Jesse.
Good morning.
I forgot to introduce myself. Everybody knows who I am.
Who are you?
Hey, guys, welcome back to the show. Welcome to Car Talk. I'm your host, Liz.
And I'm Eddie.
I'm Jesse.
Shit, we're doing this again. Dang. The blooper list is getting long.
You're supposed to introduce him.
Okay, all right. I'll introduce you, Jesse.
All right.
All right.